I'm so delighted to see you, Sergio, here at the
awesome.
Humanscale stand at Orgatec 2024, because I've only ever seen you online. We've had great conversations, and first of all, you look exactly like you look
Oh, really?
on screen.
That's kind.
The camera doesn't lie. That always helps. But we've always had a great connection and got into the kind of real thinking behind the Humanscale brand.
Yeah.
So it's an honor. We're here under the umbrella of ergonomics everywhere,
Right.
and we'll get into what that means. But can I start by asking you, as design director, what your take is on work culture, on work behavioral culture? How has this changed over the last few years? Where do you see it going?
I think the workplace is evolving in a very interesting way, especially after the pandemic, where user behavior really changed as a result of the rise of hybrid life, hybrid work, and the expectations for the office space now are quite different. These ancillary spaces are becoming vital to the in-office experiences. People want the freedom to adjust their workspaces to whatever they need. And there are a lot of products out there, a lot of beautiful products that will service those spaces, but it often comes at the cost of comfort or ergonomic well-being. And so we think that there's tremendous opportunity for us as a pioneer in ergonomics for the last several decades to contribute meaningfully to those spaces. And we're putting forward a few collections that speak to that.
So ergonomics itself as a science, has this changed over the? I mean, the term has been around for
Yes.
100 years, or I mean, so a long time. What do we understand by ergonomics these days?
Well, I think it's all related to the human body, right? So there's a lot of literature, a lot of research that our ergonomists, in-house specialists that we rely on as we develop our products, we consult with them to make sure that we're aware of the latest research. And we rely on them for that. I'm not a trained ergonomist, but ultimately what I find is that without user testing, without iterations and prototyping and user testing and getting feedback from a range of different body types to make sure that the experience matches our intent, the design intent, and that it's comfortable and that it supports you over time. Nothing replaces that direct primary research and those interview sessions.
And of course, there are the new methodologies of research are developed all the time. So this in turn then changes what we understand by ergonomics.
True, and there's a lot of different strategies around secondary research that can be used in terms of data-driven decisions. But we find that the user testing and the prototyping early stages as we validate our designs, that has not changed over time,
Right.
and I don't think it will.
So you have a very good handle on ergonomics on the one hand. You have a good understanding of what's happening in terms of behavior within the work environment. So how does Humanscale marry the two?
Well, for instance, in seating, there are tools that we can leverage. Like there's anthropometric software that essentially provides the measurements of the human body as it changes over time, and we consult that. We use that in our 3D models to make sure we're on the right track. But that can only get us so far. After that, we have to put it in the real world and put human bodies on the prototypes, on the products, to make sure that it's actually validated and that it's actually working as we intend to.
I said at the start, ergonomics everywhere. This is the mantra. This is the slogan that Humanscale is pushing out there at the moment. Has been for a while. What does this mean?
Yeah, so it is one of the key concepts that we're highlighting here at the exhibit. It essentially means that we want to we want to make sure that the user experience throughout the office space, whether it's at the workstation or in these third places, that people have the same experience, that they have the same ergonomic support and adjustability. So for us, we've got a collection of products that we're putting forward that provide that adjustability.
Sergio, tell me about the specific R&D process at Humanscale. What is particular to the way you think and the way you do?
Yeah. We, I think it's safe to say we rely primarily on primary research, where we often have interviews or direct communication with our clients and end users, and observational research is important. I've always been very interested in the gap between how people say they're going to use the product and how they actually use it. I think we get a lot of interesting insights from that in terms of understanding the user behavior.
Have you ever spent a week in an office living under someone's desk with a camera?
A week would be a lot, but I do try to get out, and I try to get the team and myself out to client sites as often as possible and get that direct feedback and understand their pain points and opportunities that may not exist, or solutions that may not exist yet. Yeah. That's really important for us.
So so a lot of primary research, a lot of proprietary research. And what happens next? What do you do with that? How do you apply it?
Yeah, so we've got, we have regular meetings, design meetings or brainstorms, and we have regular strategy meetings with leadership as well to identify the opportunities that are most relevant to us as a company, our strengths. And it's just an ongoing conversation and dialogue until we narrow in on a design direction that speaks to that problem. But I think that's a really important point, because we always want to make sure we understand the problem and that we're developing a product that solves a real problem and has a tangible impact in the way that we work.
I'd like to give you the opportunity to, because we are at a fair, to name one or two products that you think kind of capture the spirit of what you're saying, reflect the thinking behind what you do.
Yeah. So again, going back to ergonomics everywhere, right? Thinking about striking a balance between ergonomic comfort and aesthetics, let's say. I think the Float Mini is a perfect example of how we went through a pretty long process and iterations in terms of striking the balance between something that looked unique, that had a unique aesthetic, but that also took inclusivity into consideration, ergonomic comfort, and stability. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that our products are a robust solution from an ergonomic standpoint, from an engineering standpoint. And it took quite a few iterations, but I feel like we finally cracked the code on that one when it strikes a beautiful balance between the three.
You're right in saying that. I mean, there's a huge responsibility there on the part of designers who are delivering furniture that is destined primarily for contract spaces.
Yes.
That it has to perform.
Yeah. But even for residential, right? Because more and more the workplace itself is becoming a bit more soft and aesthetic, a little bit more warm, and almost taking cues from the hospitality spaces. And the designs, I think the new designs that we're putting forward now speak to that.
I saw recently a couple of images from some Humanscale marketing campaign where your products they were shown in the home, and I thought this is a very bold move. I think. Do you want to say a bit about that? What do you think makes Humanscale a potential credible player in the residential market?
Well, we all love working from home, right? We all love having that option, that opportunity to...
Possibly too much now, but that's a different matter.
So that's that's a different topic. But having products that fit the context of where you work, whether it's those ancillary spaces or the home or the office, I think that there's an aesthetic, right? There's a way that you can design and service all of those spaces, as long as you keep to a minimal modern aesthetic and you're solving a real problem. As Neil's different love to say, function first, form follows function. And if you solve for that function and you allow the design to just follow it and in an understated way, you end up with a timeless design in the end that can fit into any environment. And going back to your earlier point about the responsibility that comes with designing robust solutions, I always love to highlight that one thing that makes Humanscale unique and my team unique is the fact that we hold the importance of design and engineering. We give equal priority to both because the execution is equally important, right? And having the leadership at Humanscale that we have really empowers us to make sure that we're holding those up high.
How do you ensure you stay ahead of the curve in terms of understanding the specifically work behavioral cultural shifts? Staying ahead of the curve in terms of that research, understanding that, but also innovating as well.
So I think it goes back to that earlier point we touched on having direct line of communication with our clients and getting insights directly from the field in terms of how people are working and how they're using the products. And then there is something really refreshing about working for a company like Humanscale that really cares about having unique solutions, that we're doing something a little bit different. We're not just making another product for the sake of checking a box or having that category. We want to have a meaningful contribution to the space and to make sure that it's a functional and ergonomic solution that adds value essentially to our users.
Were you always a bit of a Renaissance man? On the one hand, I mean, there's so much engineering going on in a Humanscale product. You can be an industrial designer without actually having a real passion for that.
Yeah.
Was that the case with you?
Honestly, no. I've learned along the way by working for Humanscale as long as I have, and having Neil's different influence. He was a great reminder to me as a young industrial designer of how important function is. Function, simplicity, longevity, and making sure that we're creating products that will be around for a long time, and not worrying so much about style.
What's your second career going to be, do you think?
I think this is it for me. I really love what I'm doing. I love my team. I have an exceptionally talented team of designers and engineers. And Humanscale's ethos really speaks to me in a refreshing way.
I second that. Brilliant. Sergio, thanks so much for joining us today, and good luck with the rest of the fair.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.